Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, everybody. What's up? Morning Deuce. I hope everyone is doing well. It is my first full day working on my internet career as a podcaster and website content personality. And we'll get into that, but I want to start with two things. One, Usain Bolt won the 100-meter dash again at the Olympics, third straight Olympics. 8 years of dominance in a sprinting race is pretty nuts. I think we need to just look at how incredible modern sports medicine is, that with the way they use nutrition and stretching and all these newfound techniques to save athletes, to allow them to perform at their best abilities for even longer. We're getting some records of, what Phelps is doing is unbelievable. Even Lochte still performing at the level he's performing at is unbelievable. And these athletes who are top tier athletes can stay at the top of their game so much longer with the discipline. That's amazing. So props to him for being wicked fast. But Ryan Lochte got held up at gunpoint in Rio. And I told you that Ryan Lochte was going to bring back Zika. And I still think he was, because he was out there probably trying to get his D wet, running around, seeing what's up, seeing how he could, take in some of the culture and spirits of Rio and maybe see if he could bring back a communicable disease. Who knows? But we know he's got all he needs in the looks department. But the idea that an Olympic athlete that pronounced is getting held up at gunpoint outside the Olympic Village is unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. It tells you how crooked the committees are that choose the places where these locations are. And no city really wants to host, because honestly, I don't understand why you lose money. You build all these stadiums that eventually can't be used. You lose money. You only get money for tourism. And people went to Rio already, and they're not going to Rio because of crime, and they're not going to Rio because of disease. So when people are getting held up at gunpoint, especially someone as pronounced as Ryan Lochte, now you lost all the money you spent and no one wants to visit. It's a really unfortunate turn of events. Really unfortunate. So I told you he was going to bring back Zika, but maybe he's just going to bring back a life lesson and how to make sure you don't get held up at gunpoint. Anyway, the worst part of the Olympics isn't all of that. The worst part is that NBC is screwing everyone. It makes no sense whatsoever, no sense, that the Olympics are syndicated. I do not understand it. Brazil is in a close enough time zone that we can all watch it when it happens. It makes no sense the events occur earlier than they're shown on TV, and it makes no sense that the events on the West Coast are shown on delay to the East Coast, because we all have the internet, we all see the clips, we all see the vines, we all see Twitter. Usain Bolt's run was 9.8 seconds. That thing was up on Twitter. You can see it in its entirety. No one needs to wait the 3 hours for after it posts. And it happens, most of the events are happening before they even hit the East Coast. It's dumb that NBC is just doing this for money. It's easier to look at the Snapchat stories and just watch it that way. I do not understand why they're doing this to us. I mean, the coolest thing about the Olympics in Beijing, even though they were completely in the other time zone across the world, was that they were showing the events when they were happening and then syndicating them later, but you had the option to watch them exactly when they happened. I was waking up in the middle of the night to watch Michael Phelps swim. It was special. That was the year he won 8 golds, right? We don't have that option now. Now there's events that are just running, and if you're on the West Coast, you're just screwed. There's nothing you can do. You're like, oh, Usain Bolt won. Oh, this race happened this way. Oh, Katie Ledecky set a record. And it's like I'm reading it on the internet, or it's happening 3 hours before. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess, but all NBC wants to do is make as much money as possible. So they're syndicating it because they're afraid they're getting 80 or 90% of the viewership if they just run them all at the same time that they would get by syndicating it. But I don't even think it works that way. I think they're wrong because I've watched less Olympics because I know the results of the race, and I'm finding illegal ways to watch a video of the race on the internet. So it makes no sense to me why they're doing it that way. I think they're doing it for money, to fill more commercial airtime. That's the only thing I can think of, more commercial airtime. But to me, it doesn't make any sense, and it's screwing us as Olympic watchers. It's why the Rio Olympics have been very low spectated and viewed compared to a lot of the other Olympics. People are still watching, but just not at the same rate. Also, sticking with sporting news, I played in a golf tournament. I wore an umbrella hat like my favorite golfer, Bill Murray. And on the par 5 8th, I think I might have committed a murder. It was my third shot. I was probably 165 yards out because I hit iron off the tee because my driver was terrible all day. So I knew I was short. The geese on this course would not move. Whenever I play golf, the geese move when you run at them. They get out of the way. They're kind of smart enough to know where like landing areas of the ball are, and they typically don't sit there that often. Or you drive a cart through them and they scatter. These geese, you drive a cart through them, they move out of the way of the cart and then just fill back in where the cart was before. They do not move. And I was trying to get them to move. Then I lined back up. I hit a 4-iron very hard to try to get to the uphill green at 180. And I hit a screamer that barely got 8 inches off the ground. Went about 35 yards and hit a goose in the leg. And it was absolutely tragic. The goose like flopped around for a little, flapped, then sat, then flapped again, and then just sat in the middle of the fairway and just lied down. It was terrible. And then all the other geese were looking at me. I had to pick up the ball. The next shot I took, I completely duffed because I was afraid I was going to hit another geese because even the rest of them were still standing in front of where the ball was. I was like, did you guys not just see that guy get hit? Like, please scatter. And they didn't. They just stood right in front. I guess it's natural selection, but Jesus, it's like, oh my God, why are you so dumb? And it was just miserable. I felt horrible. I doubled the hole. It was a par 5. I picked up because I was so distraught. I couldn't even collect myself. It took me like 3 holes and 2 beers just to get back to normal for the back 9 because I was just a mess. And normal is not good because I'm not good at golf. But then even the kid in the cart with me who was playing the tournament with, all of a sudden I get ready to hit a shot and it was like geese were walking out in front of me. He was like, they know. They've communicated to each other and they're taunting you. Like there's no other reason this was happening. I would be like in the beginning of my backstroke and a goose would just walk in front of where I was and I would have to stop. It was uncanny. I do not get it. I do not get this murderous actions, this sort of self-loathing these geese appear to have, but it really has messed with me. It's been 2 days. I still feel horrible about it. I think the goose is probably going to live just with one leg, do a lot more swimming and a lot more flying and a lot less walking around, but it was not a good scene. It was not a good scene. Oh, I feel bad. That's the end of part 1. For part 2 today, I'm just going to talk about what's coming up with the Deuce. My first Monday without an office job, without a paycheck from somebody else. I plan on investing all my time into building this podcast and my internet presence and hashtagtrending.com and the website. Follow all the Twitters, at dspin for the win with the number, at hashtagtrenders. For me, it's going to be about doing the most interesting stuff, interviewing the most interesting people, finding the coolest stories, and everybody has cool stories, and sharing them. That's what I want to do, and I'm going to do it successfully. Hopefully, I'm going to get some ads. Hopefully, I can sell some merchandise, so get ready to buy a t-shirt or a hat or whatever else I can come up with. And I'm really going to do this. I got a business plan laid out. I have some thoughts. I have some ideas. I'm flexible. I am going to take the podcast on the road, hopefully eventually. I have another podcast that's coming out that will be part of, and it has a partner, and it will be at least one partner, and it's part of the website. There's a lot of growth potential here. I've said Triple H. I talked about it before in a podcast. If your head, your heart, and your home are all in the right place, you can do some good things. I think if I work on the Triple H and the Triple B, your brain, your body, and your business, right? If I can get the B's and the H's, a lot of overlap there. If I can get those things together, I really can do something special. I'm going to read books about adventure. I'm going to read books about great thinkers, philosophy. I'm going to build, cultivate, make this into something incredible where I'm constantly thinking, trying to have experiences, trying to bring the best content here. And I know I can do it. And so here we go. Not putting the dream on the shelf anymore. Been podcasting like this for like 7 or 8 months. And I've done podcasts before this. I've done a lot of things before this. And I have plenty of amazing people I'm looking forward to talking to. And I've already touched base, and many are excited about what I'm doing and wanting to be on here. And they're listeners. They've listened to episodes before, and they like it. And priority one is get this bad boy on iTunes and Google Play. So hopefully you won't have to keep watching these videos. Hopefully pretty soon you'll be listening, subscribing from home. No data charges for all you people who are listening on your commute and sucking up data. That'll go away. It'll get crisper. It'll get cleaner. It'll get sexier. So get ready to tell your hot friends. I'm out. Deuces.